Birds, okay.
It's the bird shirt, not the fish shirt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Authentic Hustle 19. Just wait a sec while Colin snorts coffee out his nose. If you cannot tell, we have an incredible time on this show, and it's super, super cool to be at 19 episodes already. It's hard to believe, isn't it, guys, that we're at 19 already? It is
Unreal.
absolutely flown by 19 weeks. And I just wanted to just take a minute before we started today's show and thank our incredible audience. You know, I know that it's not easy to attend a weekly show on LinkedIn, especially not for, you know, an hour, which is why we originally started an hour and then cut it back down to a half an hour. And for those of you who take even 5 minutes of your day to join us on Authentic Hustle, you are incredible. Thank you so much for doing that. Thanks for telling. Please do tell a couple people about us. I know it's a LinkedIn show. However, you can find these on YouTube. And I don't think we've ever really talked about that. But every single Authentic Hustle is actually produced and then put on YouTube. So while it's live here, it's not edited or anything like that. We do produce it, improve the audio quality, and we have it uploaded to YouTube, usually by the end of the day of the recording day. So by the end of Wednesday, we typically have it up on YouTube. Please do hop over there as well. Give us a follow. And if you just want to watch maybe a slightly higher produced version of that, where our voices sound a little more beautiful, you can absolutely find us there. And thanks for doing that. Thanks for joining us. Well, VJ, that's it. That's my pitch. Let's get into it. What is the trending topic of the day?
Thank you, everyone. And if you're in any confusion, don't get confused. You can just head to ah.live, and all the videos are there too. It's instantly reflected there too. So all our episodes are also reflected there. You can just go there, ah.live. So that's super easy to remember. Before I get off the trending topic, I just want to take like 30 seconds to probably give a shout out to a group of people, right?
Sure.
I just realized this morning when I was like in the shower, like I think this group of people are amazing for a reason. People born in the 70s. Right, I realized that. I mean, that is the generation.
It's me,
Colin. You will fall in that category. People born in the 70s. Thank you, because like you're a generation. I think you empathize with the people in the millennials and afterwards. And I think a big shout out, massive shout out to the people born in 70s, because you really understand, you empathize, and you have an ear to actually understand what's going on. And I feel the same way with you, Colin, same way with my elder cousin, sisters. And so they're all the 70s, right? So they really understand. Thank you. A big thank you to all of you. Just want to give a shout out to you guys. So
I appreciate that, because I've never been referred to as an elder before, but I appreciate that.
I couldn't feel the same way.
And if we're shouting out generations, let me give a shout out to my fellow 80s brothers. Woo! Oh, goodness. Let's just call it like the best music generations, though. I think we got to talk about that. The 70s, 80s, 90s, still the best rock of all time.
Yeah, fair. I'm not gonna disagree with you. Oh, here's the hot topics.
Yeah. So what are we talking today? So it's Sabrina. I don't know what that is. Like Give Rap, Norris, California. California. I mean, there's a lot going with a million posts around California. Do you want to pick that, or the LA, the fires in LA? Not the fires.
The
riots.
Exactly. So that's what I think. There's a picture I saw. I couldn't. This is one, and there was one other picture. I couldn't get hold of. Yeah, this is the one.
Oh wow!
So this is a picture from the LA riots, and I know that there's a lot buzz around it, a million posts around it. What's really going on here, guys?
Now, okay, I may have had my head in the sand on this one, guys. I know Shelby did bring me up to speed that there was something going on in LA, but I got to be honest, I've been following the hockey, not the LA riots.
Not the LA.
I have capacity for like one thing at a time, guys. But yeah, does this have something to do with something Trump's doing then?
Okay. I'll bring you up to speed. You are so Canadian, and I love it. So what's happened is ICE went to detain a bunch of illegals, I guess, and he sent in like militant force, right? And so the illegals said, no, this isn't going to happen, and they're fighting back.
Oh wow!
And it's gone into all mayhem. So Trump has one-upped it, and he's bringing in the Marines.
Oh wow!
And
so it's it's not even the National Guard. Like
no.
Bringing in the army.
VJ, is it 2,000 Marines? I think he.
Yeah, he's deploying thousands of Marines and lot of troops deployed to basically handle the situation. And the funniest thing about this whole situation was the mayor of Los Angeles, LA, I forget the lady's name, and the state governor, Gavin Newsom, they both were not very supportive of even Trump getting involved. I know it's political and all, but basically you're I don't know, there's an American aspect. Yes, they call it you're anti-American or something, but how can you not be supportive? Your streets are getting destroyed. Your stores are getting robbed. And people are basically, I mean, there were hundreds and thousands of people actually throwing stones at the cops' cars. Burning them. And there's like self-driving cars, like not Tesla, the Waymo. If you might have heard it, the Waymo, like hundreds of Waymo's cars were actually destroyed. And yeah, this is just destruction. And the president, Donald Trump, was getting involved to handle the situation, deploying troops and whatnot. So that's the situation.
Well,
in LA,
it's really odd because they're under a curfew after 9 p.m. in downtown LA. I did watch what Trump said, and he said we're trying to restore law and order. That's what it is. It's law and order, and it's not happening. It's getting worse. And like I saw a video of the crowd surrounding a lady with her kids in the car and pulling them out of the car.
Wow.
Right. And so something has to be done. And the other part is, and then they're chanting, and I don't want to get into the immigration part, but these people are saying, leave us alone. And Newsom was saying the same thing. And at the end of the day, they're illegal. And this is not going to help them. This for sure will not help them stay in the United States.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. And I would like to maybe like, is there a parallel to this in Canada? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb to it, but Vijay, you went through the process to become Canadian, to come here, to work. I imagine initially you needed a work visa to do it. Actually, why don't you just
talk us through that?
What is the process like?
No, I'll talk through all of this. So even before any of this, like I came to the United States, even to get a visa, like I had to wait almost like 7 to 10 months to get a visa. I went for the interview. The legal process of immigration is extremely hard, guys. To anyone hearing, it's extremely, extremely hard. When we took a decision, okay, let's apply for Canada and like apply for residency. The process almost took 2 years.
Wow.
Right. And it's a really lengthy process. They vet the medical, they vet the education, they go through a lot, employer check, background check. It's a really long process. It's not straightforward at all. For anyone hearing, and to come into a country to be an illegal and do these kind of riots, it's just not acceptable at all. No, you have no rights to come to any country and do this kind of like destruction to any society for that matter, right? I just couldn't handle that. I mean, I see a pattern in terms of like because the moment we bring certain topics, people like switch instantly. Okay, fine. When COVID happened, I'm not talking about COVID, but Black Lives Matter happened.
Yes.
Right. And at the end, do you remember the movement of like defund the police, the entire movement around Seattle and whatnot?
Yeah.
Similar. Stores robbed, same thing. Same thing is happening in like Johannesburg, Cape Town, and South Africa. Same problem, right? I mean, if cops aren't around, if they are not protecting the society, businesses cannot thrive. And the communities cannot thrive. If communities cannot thrive, citizens cannot thrive. It's as simple as that. You cannot make a life living robbing stores. Maybe you robbed for 1 week. What are you going to do the next week?
Sure.
When all stores are gone.
Yeah.
What are you going to do the next week?
Yeah.
So Vijay, when you went through that process, what were some of the laws that are laid down, I guess you will? If you can stay, this is how long before you become a citizen or you have a temporary green card, or can you walk us through that process of, like, let's say you got a DUI or whatever. The only reason I asked that is I have some friends from South Africa. Now they're citizens in Canada. And he just gave me some of the warnings that he had, that, you don't slip up. Right? Or so what was that like, or how did that actually go?
Yeah. So the situation with me between Canada and the US was different in my case, because in the US, I was in a visa category. So I came as a work visa, and the work visa was tied to an employer. And once a visa expires, you're supposed to leave the country. That's how it works. It has nothing to do with like immigration, residency, nothing of that sort. But when we came to Canada, we applied for permanent residency. So we are the permanent residency. You get a permanent resident card. The card is valid for 5 years. And when we entered the country, we entered through Niagara Falls the Toronto, that Ontario border through New York. And they said, like, you have all the rights of a citizen, except you cannot vote. That was the only criteria. And it's valid for 5 years. And that's the process. I cannot run for office or I cannot vote. That's the only thing. But you have all of the rights of a citizen. That's what it is. But you have to live in the country for 3 years. You have to obey the laws, the Canadian Charter, all of that. All of that applies, right? And that's how it should be, actually. It's a straightforward, common sense process. They do the vetting. They make sure you're a good guy. Yeah. They make sure your background check is. They make sure your education is legit. They make sure your employment is legit. They'll do all the legitimacy tests, and it's a long process. And once they approve it, and after that, they get a stamp of approval, and you can enter the country legally, quote unquote, legally.
Yeah.
That's the keyword here. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So, and I think maybe it's disrespectful to the other people who have gone through that process. Like, I think maybe that's the other side of the illegal thing. And you know what? Let me just like put my hand up here and say I have nothing in this fight, right? Like, I am Canadian through and through. I was born here. I've never lived anywhere else but Canada. So I have nothing in this fight. I don't understand the persecution that people might be leaving when they come to a different country. And I understand there's a lot of places in the world that suck to live. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I imagine that a lot of the people who are illegal in this scenario likely were leaving a worse situation. So I can completely understand that aspect of it. But I guess, like, to the people like you, Vijay, who have, you've gone through the process, you've waited the term to be able to go and work in that country. You applied to move to a different country when that was up. At the end of the day, it's really shitty for people like you who've gone through the process, did the legal thing, and maybe even got rejected, or maybe even had to leave, or whatever it is. And now you have people that are just coming in willy-nilly on their own feelings. And it's hard, because I understand the other aspect of this. I understand that it's probably not great for them where they're leaving, right? Like, if it was great, they wouldn't leave. Yeah. And so I think that's like the important thing maybe to consider here with this is maybe there's a different route that they can take that, like, takes that into account, right? Like, maybe there is a temporary visa that could be issued to these people who genuinely are leaving a bad situation like we do in Canada.
Yeah. I mean, where my heart goes is about to the societies where they're hurting the most, right? And one is obviously the cops, because, like, they get nightmares. I mean, they cannot sleep peacefully. These cops on anyone on the deployment and things like that, right? I mean, it's real, because they see nightmare after nightmare. They look at like the like murders, killing, right? Everything, right? So they keep doing that. That is one. And the other one is the people, like the pizza chain owner, the restaurant owner in that street in LA downtown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly, Colin, like, running a business is no joke at all. Like, and starting up a business and being there, right, serving food or anything, any business for that matter, it's no joke at all. And you are hurting, and you have the audacity to go and hurt these businesses. It's just not right. I cannot empathize with the hurt that's going on, with the destruction that's going on. That's where I come from this whole point. And of course, from an immigration point of view, I mean, you don't have a right to enter a country as if it was your own country. No. Because there are laws laid down. They have like people who have lived before you. They've formed the society. They've built the society. So you have to follow the rules. Like, there's no other way around it. I mean, for any country for that matter. I just don't understand why that is not common sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe if we have any listeners who are finding this show, and maybe you are in LA, maybe you can give us just a little background context as Canadians who maybe don't understand the situation or what that immigration is like. And I would love to maybe have both takes. I would love to have maybe somebody who is native to Los Angeles or California. And if we can, maybe somebody who is an immigrant to the area, to be able to give us maybe both sides of what they're feeling. I would really, really like that. I would like to see both sides. So please do leave that in the comments for us on YouTube. Would love, love, love to understand better as a Canadian what is happening there. Vijay, that takes us to the end of our trending topic. Can you lead us into our topic of the day?
All right.
Anyone listening, and everyone, if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you want to drop a topic, go to ah.live and drop your topic request, or fill out the form to be a guest on the show. Thank you so much. Let me let's spin the wheel now.
And Vijay, you're picking. It's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay.
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right. 3 topics today. Water scarcity. Can desalination solve the global water crisis? Interesting. Hybrid work. Are hybrid work models sustainable for long-term productivity? It's on hybrid work and leadership. The third topic is, should AI decision making be regulated to prevent bias? Interesting.
2 or 3.
Hybrid work. Should AI decision making be regulated to prevent bias? I think I'll go with the second topic because I have done that a lot.
Me too.
And I've experienced doing that. Are hybrid work models sustainable for long-term productivity?
I love it. Can I kick this one off?
Yep.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I am a massive, massive advocate of work from home. And let me just start out by saying I was not an advocate for it. When I first had to work from home during COVID, I flipping hated it, guys. I sucked at it. And I'm not afraid to say that because I know so many of you out there felt the exact same way, because home was your space, right? Home was where you unwound, not where you wound up. And so ultimately, I found when I first went home during COVID and had to work from home, guys, I struggled. Like, I spent most of my time just like hanging out, watching TV and playing with my dog. That was work from home. What I actually had to do was lock myself in a room. So it sounds kind of crazy, but I had my office. And what I had to do during work time to really start to get good at it was essentially go in there, shut the rest of the world out, and get to work. And it was not an immediate process. I would say it was probably about 6 months of getting used to that habit. And when I was in that room, I was working, right? Now, the funny thing is that me and Shelby, we talk about this a lot now. We're way more productive working from home. I can guarantee you I do more work working from home because, one, I typically start work before 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not driving to an office to start work. I'm literally starting work typically right after I get my coffee. And I usually work late. Like, most nights I'm working till 6, 7 o'clock, whether that's for me or for clients. So I'm actually more productive than I've ever been. And I can say this bar none. I'm more productive than I've ever been working remotely. And actually, when I was working with one of my larger clients, I was only going into the office 1 day a week. And I really loved that. I absolutely loved that model because I got that like productivity and to be able to do my own thing from home. And then I also got that like office time, that little bit of time to connect with the people who worked there, to kind of establish those relationships. But it was simply 1 day a week. And I would say, Colin, Vijay, that was my favorite way to work ever. My favorite way to work, I think, is hybrid.
Yeah, no, I kind of like ditto everything you said, Kelly. I have like no points to add. Like, yeah, Kelly, same thing as Kelly. But one thing I really missed initially working from home was listening to some of the audiobooks or some of the podcasts or some of the playlists that I have, because that's like when I commute, that's when I used to listen to them. Like the 20, 30, 40 minutes commute, that's when I used to listen to all of that. I missed that. I couldn't do it otherwise in home because like you're always something. Yeah. And initial phase of my working from home was also like that. I was watching more movies. Oh yeah, Netflix is there all the time. At one point, we actually, I think 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we literally canceled Netflix. I mean, because we were not watching any shows after that. So yeah, that was the learning. But after that, I mean, I wouldn't go back otherwise. I mean, going to the office feels now, oh, I have to travel 45 minutes and then go to an office. It kind of feels different for me. Very much the same, Kelly. I feel the same way.
Colin.
I agree with you guys. The difference is with our facility and our new office and that type of thing, we've invested a few $1 million into really nice.
It's a beautiful office. Colin has the best office of all of us.
But the difference being, it's almost like I'm remote. Like there's nobody here where I'm attending multiple meetings or doing anything. Like I do walk-arounds, I talk to people, I do that. And I've got my thumb on the pulse for sure, but it is more remote. Like I could work from anywhere from my truck to my house. I've done a lot of remote work real estate wise from my house, and I don't think I would ever go back. And as a matter of fact, even now, I'm working on replacing myself in my position at Hypervac. Mm-hmm. And then I'll work a hybrid position for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm more productive doing it. I don't get involved in, what we would per se call the water cooler talk.
Yeah.
Like I remember a study way back when I was with the public company early on. There was some study the company came out with. Obviously they did. And it was people who smoke versus everybody else. Right. And there was something like, I think it was like 41 minutes a day smokers got extra time off to go out and smoke, and it was acceptable. That was fine.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the evolution of the water cooler, right? Nobody was drinking water out of the tap anymore. Now they had a water cooler, so there's water cooler talk.
Mm-hmm.
So it just moved from that to that to that. I think for me, like they say, work-life balance or whatever you call it, productivity is everything.
Yeah.
If I can do, regardless of the work I need to do, if I can do it in bite-sized chunks and that gets it done, great. If I can focus in and get it done, it takes me an hour or 2 hours, just get that done. I'm still done when I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? They're still not, hey, I got to walk out there and, oh, hey, Brian, what's going on? And you burn this time. And I'll use an example. When we had the transport, the garbage company, one of the things that we always looked at productivity. And obviously you couldn't do that from home, but I'll give you an example. There was a coffee machine in the scale house. And every time another driver would come, and we're talking, 150 drivers.
Yeah.
Another driver would come. One guy would just be finishing a smoke, and the other guy'd be going in to run to grab a coffee. By the time it's all done, you might have 8 or 9 guys in a 5-hour period that are just literally burning away time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we sat down and we're like, hey, well, we're not going to come in and just tear the world apart, but how do we do this? We removed the coffee machine. That was it. That was it. Right?
Well, and that's it. And it's interesting too, because, I used to smoke. I was done.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And absolutely, they go together, right? Like you start to tie your smoking habit with a coffee or with an energy drink, in my case, or whatever.
And more people.
Exactly. And so the trigger is the coffee. The trigger for that cigarette was to go and get the coffee. And if you don't have the coffee, you might not need the cigarette. It's funny that was the solution.
Vijay, you might not know because you were probably born in the 90s. There's this thing people used to smoke.
No, I never.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, my goodness. I look back now, and it's funny that you talked about like the time, right? When I was in college, I was still smoking because I was still dumb, and I used to work as a server and a bartender, and it was only the people who smoke got the breaks.
Yes.
Like it's crazy, right? But that's exactly why, it's not why I was doing it. I was smoking before that, but it was a huge perk of being a smoker was that you got to sneak out for your smoke break while everyone else is just a sucker working their night off.
And 100% acceptable.
Yes.
It was, oh, hey, where's Colin? Oh, he's out for a dart. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. Crazy.
But just imagine, hey, where's Colin? Oh, he's just sitting on the milk crate out back. Well, tell him to get back in here and get to work.
Yeah, exactly, right? If you were doing nothing, you're in trouble. But because you're killing yourself, it's okay.
So really, and then you think about, and maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but that hybrid, like I've read these things where these, the large corporations are demanding people come back to work, which, I get that, right? You're paid to do that. But how many billions of dollars are wasted, right? Like in the commute, in the time, in the parking.
Yeah.
Like even you think if you're a corporation and you have whatever, I don't care if you have 25, 50, 100, 150 staff, and you have parking lots and you have parking passes and the time to walk in and out and your lanyard and the security and all of that. And then what do? You go into your office and you go on a Zoom call.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty accurate.
Well, and does that even make sense? No. Why didn't you just do the Zoom call from your home office?
Yeah. It's, earlier in the conversation, you touched specifically on focus. And, I talked about that today in my show. It's a weird little synchronicity, but I was just talking about how now in about 8 hours of highly focused work, I can do about as much work as I used to do in 2 weeks as an employee.
Oh yeah.
And yes, that does translate a little bit to, was I dogging it a hair as an employee? Yeah. Right. Of course we all do a little bit as employees, right? You only have to put in what you have to put in. And at 5 o'clock, you check out, you're done. You're not back till 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, whatever it is. Right. When you work from home, it's interesting. I would make the argument that I think you get more productivity from people working from home. There's a couple things
100%.
at play. I think they start earlier and they work later. I genuinely think that that's the truth for most people. They may not start that way. I'm the example, right? Maybe they start out watching Netflix, but I think after about 6 months of figuring out how to do it, you actually get better productivity from your people working from home. They're more loyal because I think on the other hand, they also like being able to work from home. Mm-hmm. So they're going to put in that little bit extra effort to make sure they do it right. And the other part too is that the onus is on them to prove that they're doing what they need to be doing, right? Like if you get like 3 weeks and you're not getting shit out of them, you're going to be like, hey, what's going on? And they're going to be like, I'm not working. Like, what other excuse do they have, right? So they're actually going to work a little bit harder. I can guarantee you, I think over time, the companies that embrace the hybrid work from home model are going to come out way ahead of the ones that bring their people to the office. And you touched about one other thing, Colin, the cost. Think about the cost of these sky-rise buildings, these multi-floor offices that nobody friggin' wants to go to anyway.
No.
Yeah.
No. No, I was going to tie in here and then I'll be done with it. I think if you hybrid position, work from your home office, whatever it may be, and if you actually grasp AI and what it can do for you as well with productivity, right? You're not grabbing an encyclopedia off the shelf or a book or, per se, and digging through and digging up all this history. It's at your fingertips. And if you're good at what you do, that's where the whole thing is, you're paid for the value.
Yeah.
Right. You're not paid for the time. You're paid for the value. So if I can condense that value into 1 to 2 hours a day, and like you just said, what you do in 8 hours, you used to do in 2 weeks, that is value. So regardless, whatever that dollar amount that you have fixed to that, I'll pay employees all day long, and I don't actually have to see them.
Yeah.
So VJ.
Right. No, I just wanted, like, the more we started talking, like, I almost forgot, like we have an entire operations based on remote and hybrid work. Yeah. I mean, it's right. I mean, it's actually that, because like, we built 2 AI products entirely from the remote model. Yeah. Right. I have my other founder in Toronto, and here in this case, the Brian, he's in Texas. Right. So the entire conversation happened on Google Meet. Thank you, Google, for all the calls. Right. It worked every single time, like a charm. So all of that was done. I speak to my developers all the time on Google Meet. It always works. So big shout out to the remote model.
Yes.
I used to love, I mean, like with the hybrid model, going to the office, I used to treat office as though it was like a temple or something. Yeah. I have smoked, I've taken fag, but like, I'm not an active smoker because my dad smoked a lot. Maybe that stuck to me. I didn't smoke as much, but I've taken a couple of drinks, but I never went back to office after taking a drink. I could never do that. I mean, my friends, hey, come, let's go grab that thing from the office. No, I never did that. Yeah. That is something I'm proud of. Like, I treated it really well, but anyway, the corporate have, it's, I don't want to go into that topic, but I had a good time being in office. It's really good, but I also don't miss not going to the office either, because from productivity point of view and the things that we could produce from a point of view, it's really great. And one other thing I want to mention is I spoke to a Bitcoin founder. I know Adam O'Brien, Kelly. So I spoke to him, like we were chatting and having a coffee and something, and we were talking, what the cost of actually maintaining an office just to have like 10 employees, it's enormous actually. To be able to pay for the rent and everything. It's just like that, $1 million+ salary plus rent and everything, right? Yeah. It just like that, it adds up. Maybe some of that cost can go back to the employees or go back to the founders or something like that, right? Why to instance? Yeah, that's how I feel the enormous expense in terms of like being in office. Yeah. Although I like it, but there's also a benefit not being there as well. So
the only thing, when I look back to the value of an office, is truly the connection. And so my argument would be, ditch the office and throw like weekly events where you and your staff can get together and build a true connection. That is the value of the office. So if that's the value of the office and you want to get your staff working together, you want to get them collaborating, just put them in a space together. You don't need to have an office. Do something fun together and build real relationships. And one other thing I wanted to tie on before we wrapped up today's show, and it's funny, Colin, because Shelby had brought it up. And she mentioned that one of the biggest advantages of working remotely is that you are not limited to your location for exceptional talent. You now have the entire world. And Vijay, you're a great example of this. You can bring in talent from anywhere in the world, the best people, period, not just the best people for your location. And that's a massive advantage.
Yeah. So, and Zadwell is like completely like a remote first company, and we want to focus on remote first. Although maybe in the future we'll have office. I will never say never, but maybe we'll have an office. But currently we are fully focused on remote, and we see a massive advantage being remote, and probably going to maintain that way for the near future. That's just for sorry, Colin.
No. And you know what, Vijay, even with that, I don't even know if you'd have an office that you would go to. You could rent an office, you could rent a pod, you could do that type of thing.
Yeah, co-working.
The WeWork co-working type thing. I think that's going to be even more out there. One story that triggered in my mind quick was in the corporate industry. I was called to go to a meeting in Calgary. They were flying in their corporate jet. And that means expensive bottles of wine. That means lunch. That means supper. That means a bunch of, all these people are going to come from all over and meet these guys at the table. I drove from Lethbridge. I had a truck, a carload of people, probably 4 people with me. So you think of the dollars involved there and away from the business. I went from Lethbridge and I was on Deerfoot, and I got a call saying, hey, sorry, we're not going to be able to meet with you today.
No.
Okay. So we burn away a day, literally.
Yeah, right.
Of everybody's time. And then they called and said, why don't you come back tomorrow? Okay. So we do, and we get into the room just to see the CEO. Actually, we're doing a budget review, rip up a binder in front of me from another person from another area and say, this is junk, throws it in the garbage. And I'm like, you know what? All of that should have just happened virtually, if never.
Yeah. Yes.
But the cost associated with these guys flying in, meeting for an hour, like I'm so sorry that nobody's that important. Nobody has that much impact. Actually, It was a negative impact, to tell you the truth. And here I am a dozen years later laughing at it, and they're probably still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then even that night, now you're going and they're having $100 bottles of wine. But here's the best part of it all. Purpose of that meeting was to say, how can you spend less and make more? Well, I don't know. You just flew a jet all over Canada and touched down for an hour at a time in these little places. And, we're talking limos from the airport. And anyway, that whole thing, Zoom stock or whatever, Teams, you name it, should just go through the roof and never have that again.
Absolutely. And I always advocate initial meetings shouldn't be in person. Like if you're just meeting a company for the first time, have the virtual meeting, take the 30 minutes, book the virtual meeting, have a quick conversation and see if what you need is really there. Because how many people waste, like you said, entire days driving to a meeting for nothing? Just an example of that. I once drove 12 hours through a tornado to go to a lunch meeting that was a gigantic waste of time and drove all the way back. So I'm a huge advocate for the Teams call. The first virtual meeting, people, it is valuable.
All right. VJ, any last words?
No, I'm good. Let's wrap it up.
All right, Kelly.
That takes us to the end of our show, everyone. We'll see you next week for 20. Later, Hustlers.
All right. Hustlers out.
And that was